such heartfelt, such beautiful messages. Now, as the country continues to pay homage to the life and legacy of its founding president and father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Shafishuna Nujoma, we engage experts across various disciplines in pursuit of unpacking the impact he made on this country, on our society. This morning we have particular regard to the late founding president's contribution to the country's legal ecosystem. And for that purpose, we now sit down with former government attorney, Advocate Matti Asino. Good morning, Advocate, and thank you so much for making time for this special tribute broadcast.
Thank you very much. Indeed, it's not an occasion to give thanks. However, it's an occasion to reflect.
Yes, indeed, Advocate. You were a close relative of the late Dr. Nujoma. Please help us understand how exactly you were related.
Yes. It's my uncle, but we call him Tatekuru, meaning Tatekuru for all. From my upbringing, and especially after independence, Tatekuru was given, even by the family, to be a national leader. Not just a family leader, but a national leader. So our founding father is the firstborn of our grandfather and grandmother, Tatekuru Daniel Nujoma and Kuku Hervimpingana Kondoboro. I forgot the name Utoni there on top. Yes, Tatekuru Daniel Utoni Nujoma. Then after him, it was my auntie who passed away in June, Meme Frida Nanjara Nujoma. Very, very close. Well, I wouldn't say even one of them, but all of them are very close. And thereafter comes my mother. My mother, Meme Sophia, now Popien Asino, became Asino. And Me Frida is Me Frida Nanjara Shikongo. And so I'm the firstborn of Meme Sophia and Tate Edward Asino.
Very well. Yeah. And you lost your mom, who was the sister of the founding president during the pandemic.
Yes, during the pandemic, my mother was one of those first who were taken by this pandemic, precisely in August 2020. Yeah, and it was also sudden, unexpected, very confusing.
And a big blow also for her brother, the founding president.
Yes, yes indeed, to all of us. And he was so, with his leadership, even in morning, he gives me courage. Even on that fateful day, to get up and go to Home Affairs, organize all the documents, and ensure that the body is
taken care of.
Yeah, taken care of, and so that we can take the ashes to the burial in the north. Yeah. So after speaking to him, I really have to get up. I ran around the doctors, and then he said, please just report to me after. And indeed on that day, by the evening, I reported to him that I have accomplished what I was tasked to do. But that was not just for us. With the foresight, I think he realized that there's no barrier that, the body cannot be moved, and she will be buried in unmarked graves. We will not be allowed to be there. So with his foresight, and he really encouraged, or he was right to ensure that the burial can take place in the north.
And bearing in mind that he was 91 years old at the time already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was very... One thing about my uncle, I was very, very close, because I also was tasked to manage the farm. So we have constant engagement with him.
You are the Atunda farm manager as well?
Yeah, I was, yes. And his plans are always, or his words, or what he thinks should be done. Whether you think it's wrong, you'll be surprised and shocked that you're actually wrong.
And he was visionary.
He was visionary, and he was always right. To me, he was always right.
Thank you for sharing that, Advocate. Now, the nation is mourning the death of its founding president. You're mourning the death of your uncle, your mom's eldest brother, whom you were very close to.
Yes.
Moreover, you shared a birthday. Your birthday is also like his on the 12th of May.
Yes.
What does this loss mean for you, particularly on a personal level?
Yeah. On my personal level, it's really painful to know that we have lost our founding father. But just like our second president expressed himself to say he knew, he was not surprised that our founding president has passed on. And you know, when a person is such in pain, it was paining me more to see him in pain. So
it must have been very difficult for you.
It is very difficult, but we wish he could live longer than this. But the Almighty has given us that this is his time. He has done what God has given to do on this earth, and now he has called him to his flock. He has not transitioned to the other world. So, to me, although as days goes by, I think we start now to realize that indeed he was just also a human being. He's a child of God, and when God called him, it's God's will, and us humans cannot do anything to surpass or to overturn or question the will of God. So we accept that it's God's will, and that's God's will. It's God's will.
As painful as it is for you, the family especially. Yeah.
Yes.
Advocate, what was it like growing up as a young boy, knowing that Sam Nujoma is your uncle, you're sharing a birthday with him, he's credited for liberating our country?
Yeah. Yes. When I was growing up, I really felt special. I felt that although I haven't seen him
at that stage,
at this, those years. When I was growing up, when I was in primary school, I really thinking I was doing my best to make sure that I emulate his courage, his foresight, his intelligence. When you hear his speeches on the radio, when he gives those speeches, you memorize them, or once you hear it, you recite them, and you make it, you internalize and make really a part of you, like you are belonging to that part of the struggle. And when you hear the radio, we used to hear Radio Tanzania, so although we were very young, it really raised the spirit of the struggle to be in us. And you feel so special that you stand for something. One of the things is that you stand for something. You have principles. You have, not only principles, SWAPO, but also traditional principles. I think for him, when we see him now, is that he has principle of the Constitution. He respects the Constitution so much. He respected the rule of law. He respected the judiciary. He respected the legislature to do the right thing. So for him, and in particular, some of us still remember that when decisions of the court, even they are not so popular, he stand on the point that we must follow the rule of law. If the judges decide, we follow what judges have decided. To me, as a lawyer, I was so proud also to hear that the executive, the president, has yielded to the judiciary to do the right thing.
That says a lot, Advocate, because although we know that President Hage Geingob was the chairperson of the Constituent Assembly, Dr. Nujoma led the entire process of this country becoming a constitutional democracy. And many regard him to be the father of constitutionalism because he was the main implementer of the supreme law of the land. Talk to us about his role from your perspective, both as a lawyer, but certainly as a nephew, in implementing the fundamentals of the supreme law of the land.
Yeah, thank you. To that question, I think let me start by the point that our senior, our elders have already expressed. We had Dr. Kachavivi and Tatekulu Ben Amadila. When they put that context of being sent to execute a certain duty in a certain way, you know, you feel like they have to carry the founding with them. And when they are engaging to ensure that they carry the message of the founding. And before I really go to the question, I think the most important part I've seen personally, because I was so close at times, is to see that the founding president's strength was to consult. In every aspect of anything that is done, the founding president consulted. Even if he wanted to do something on the farm, he will call you and consult first. You just don't hear, do this. No, do you have this and you have this? Let's do this. And then you obviously, and that's why I say it's always difficult to find that fault in his decision making. He's always on point. Now, on the Constitution, on the establishment of the Constitution, I think let's start at the reconciliation. Reconciliation policy was so unpopular in SWAPO. I don't know whether he was alone or whether they were with some. I've spoken also to the elders, Tatekuru Mzee Kaukungwa, Tatekuru Pohamba, even Tatekuru Pohamba. You know, it was that he was like alone. When he said this, we, as a revolutionary movement, we were ready to fight to the last blood. Whether we are wiped out, but we were determined to destroy the enemy. Then comes this thing of reconciliation. First, I also didn't understand it.
A twist.
Yes.
A real plot twist.
Yes. I didn't understand it. At that time, I was just about to start the law because I was just finishing my first degree in political science. And it was not registering. And it did not register with most of us. But with God's guidance, I think all the leaders agreed to say, let's follow what the founding president has given us. And the justification was that in all countries where they were at war and they never reconciled, they continued to fight.
The peace didn't last.
The peace doesn't last.
Yeah.
And then here today, this group kills this side. Then the generation comes, we continue to, with the war. And I think with God's blessings, Namibia became independent and a peaceful country. And it was not by fault, it's really by design.
Now, help us establish, in terms of how that was by design, the correlation between Dr. Nujoma's policy on national reconciliation and what culminated in the constitution of the land.
Yes. I was also watching the clip this morning. Land was the big issue. And on the land, he was of the view, and we were of the view, I also thought so, that land should belong to the state. When you come in the world, you use the land, you leave it for the next generation. Now private ownership takes it away from the state, and so the correlation between the national reconciliation is to come now with even the constitution, the way it came about, is give and take. Not all the constitutional draft of the SWAPO was accepted as a constitution.
Are you saying it was about compromise and consultation?
Compromise and consultation, giving and looking at achieving peace. At that time, I think it became very clear that the leadership recognized that we are going to be citizens of Namibia, black and white. Those who own land, those who did not own land. Those who were advantaged and those who were disadvantaged. So we have to come with a policy, although not everybody can be advantaged the same. Those who had of course, they are reluctant to give up what they had. So it is with great leadership that we even end up here with the constitution that we have, hailed by many in the world as one of the most advanced human right protecting constitution. And so the leadership of founding president, of course, he's in consultation with everyone. I vividly also recall how the late Dr. Hage was saying that there were three issues that were concerning even to the white. And he I think in consultation with the founding, stood up, goes to the opposition's house, a white man's house, and ask him, what are your concerns? What can we agree on? What is that holding up so that we can have an agreement on the constitution?
And reach consensus.
And they reach the consensus like magic. It's like magic. So I think God was with us. God led our liberation struggle and led our leaders even to come up with this constitution.
Thank you so much, Advocate. Yes. In your introductory overview, you spoke of the respect that the founding president had also for the rule of law.
Yes.
We can't claim to be serious about the business of a constitutional democracy without, at the same time, very strictly and very consistently upholding the rule of law. Talk to us about that aspect, please.
Yes. I worked, like I say, I worked with Datekuru mostly in private capacity, but also I have the privilege to consult him on some matters. And of course, he's a military man, very authoritative in terms of what should be done. But you find so surprisingly, what does the law say? He asks, what does the law say? Where does this come from? Where is this? So it was really, for me as a lawyer, being even taught by the founding president that that's not how the law applies. We cannot achieve what you want to achieve because the law would prohibit you from here. He had such a great understanding inside of not what the Constitution says or what the law says, but he has those principles of fairness, principle of legality, whether traditional law, whether spiritual law, or, all these laws, they do exist, or state law like the Constitution and the laws of the land. And he's very meticulous in ensuring that when you bring him a document, any document that you, for instance, a contract, he will read it and he will make the marks about the law. He will remark about the law. So for me, he was really in particular, let me just emphatically also state that he would not like to see anyone breaking the law. He also doesn't want to do anything outside the law. That's my experience with him.
You mentioned a very interesting point now, namely his respect also for traditional law. Now, the fathers of our Constitution also had the foresight of including our indigenous laws, our customary laws, to the extent to which they don't conflict with the Constitution. And we've also heard from many of the tributes how he respected the traditional authorities and also the church authorities that you just mentioned. How important was it to hold space also for our customary laws, for our indigenous laws?
The aspect of, especially of tradition, he brought back Orufuko. He insisted that we must have Orufuko because we are losing our nation. We are lost because it seems like we are following different cultures and we don't have our cultures. As he always say, a nation without, without history, it's like a tree without roots. Any wind that comes can just blow it away. That phrase is so profound that even in our homes, if you have children who are not grounded into what is the custom and what is the tradition that they must follow, they definitely will be taken by the wind. This fate come, they follow. This fate come, they follow. So it's very, very important to note that the founding father was principled in upholding the law and ensuring that customs and traditions are maintained. Yes.
You touched on human rights earlier, Advocate, and we do know that the Namibian Constitution extensively provides for human rights in Chapter 3, our Bill of Rights.
Yes.
Talk to us about the role of the founding president as a champion of and for human rights.
Yes. If you, let's start maybe by the time even before independence. One of the most important things that the founding president did was to find education so that people can understand their rights, they can exercise their rights. So he went out throughout the world, and we all ended up studying everywhere in the world. And when we came back, we have such education, not only to be administrators, not to just to be office bearers, but actually to exercise and implement human rights. And for those who did not get those opportunities to have human rights, we can see now where our country is. That we have the pension, we have even the veteran status for those who did not manage to go to school, but it's given to all. You cannot discriminate and so forth. But I think the meaning is to say, do not let the people suffer. And him personally, he spent most of his resources to upholding and giving people human rights. One of the examples I can give is that, remember we had a child who survived a massacre of the father who was a general and the mother. And the child was alone. The child was taken in and raised by Tatekuru. The child now has a degree. She's independent. She has now she's now have standing to stand on her own and enforce her own rights.
Thanks to the founding president.
Yes. And she's not the only one. There are many who were from exile, who he helped to get into schools, who has he was so selfless that if a child is crying to go to school and go to Tatekulu, normally they get help. So, and what is also very important is that when he receives gifts, when he receives, whatever gift he receives, he normally want to give it so that people can help, can help other people instead of clinging to this. That's one of the things that I think that principle of sharing, not only with you, your family, your close family, and like some of us, we thought, some people think that we are sitting and we can just go to the founding father and get money. No, I never get a penny with Tatekuru, even if when I was working at the farm. I was not paid. I was really, really sacrificing myself to ensure that also the founding father has the opportunity to do whatever his state duties and without, he trusted me totally to be on the farm on my own and do all the right decisions for him, and so that he can just concentrate on his state duties.
I'm sure he appreciated your sacrifice as well. Advocate Asino.
Indeed, I feel so. Yes.
Advocate Asino, at the heart of constitutionalism is the doctrine of separation of powers that you also mentioned in your introductory overview. And it's important for these three organs of state to, as best as possible and as practically executable as possible, not interfere with each other's duties, not to usurp each other's functions. Talk to us firstly about that principle and that doctrine, and the extent to which the founding president respected and honored that you'd also mentioned earlier.
Yes, thank you very much again for that question. The doctrine of separation of power is a constitutionalism principle which give distinct functions to three organs of the state. You have the executive, which implements the laws and policies of government. You have the judiciary. The judiciary interprets the laws of the country and maintain the law and order. Peace and security is the function of although they are related, they are exchanged, but it's the function of the judiciary. While the legislature is parliament, a national council, they make laws. Actually, because they have the mandate from the people to say, we want this type of law. And that's why it's very important when it comes to making of laws, and when you want to change laws, we must go through the process of parliament. And the nation is definitely expected that when the parliament debates are ongoing, let's pay attention so that we can have our input. So these organs, the way they function, it's like a wheel. They must complete the whole process is to form an effective government. If the legislator is lacking, then the executive will not be able to implement what need to be implemented. Even, for instance, the good example is the budget. If Parliament does not provide the budget, the executive cannot function. And if there is something wrong with human rights are violated, then obviously, if the judiciary does not step in to make the correct decisions, the right judgments, then obviously we are going to have a violation of human rights, and then
a violation of the Constitution.
And the violation of the Constitution, and then we end up with conflicts, and then we start, peace and security will go out of the window.
Yeah, and just very briefly, Tatekulu's approach to respecting the separation of powers.
Yes. Tatekulu was a consultative president to me. I have worked with so many government officials, ministers, prosecutor general, judges, legislators. And one of the things is that the founding president particularly liked to consult fully. You call in group, even of position. Like the example I gave of the Constitutionalist Assembly, where it was taken upon to say, what are you really concerns? Can we have a compromise? Those are the process that have been ongoing at State House. You find really the founding president calling on all parties, those who have concerns, to come forth. Let's debate, let's hear your concerns, let's find out what can we do about them. Is that even related to what we want to resolve, or is it something else? So it is really he was really a president who consulted widely. He traveled, you see, he was, even today people, when I meet people, they say, founding president, find us even in the remotest villages, to go to the people and find out, and see him and find out what can be done, how can we build the nation, how can we all unite. And one aspect is really to unite the people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you making time for us when it's such a difficult time for you and the family.
Yes.
I would imagine that the 12th of May will never ever be the same again for you. Do you perhaps have a message as we wrap up our conversation this morning for your siblings, for your cousins, for your auntie, Mekulu Kovambu Nujoma, and for the nation at large?
Yeah. Yes, indeed, 12th May
will never
will not be the same, because I was so privileged. I didn't even have to do a birthday on my own.
You just attended the party?
I need to go to Tatekulu to be on the side of Tatekulu. Yeah. Well, my last words is that the nation, we have lost Tatekulu. We all hoped that he would continue to live on and on and on. Some of us rather sacrifice ourselves so that he can live on, so he can continue to live on. However, like I said at the beginning, the will of God, he was just a human being, and God is also in his child who is in his plans. And we have to accept that God has spoken. His plans are such that he called him now at this time to continue. God will continue to take care of us. We must just also maintain peace, be willing to also listen to God. When God gives us a leader, let's listen to the God's way of giving us that leader. Let's not go astray that God has forsaken us. So we certainly, the word is, please be strong. I'm hearing, especially the young people, it's not just us as a family. The founding father, that's why he's given that title, the founding father. And it's the founding father is a title that is in law for his dedication to this country, to bring the country or contributing so much to this country. So we must take solace in the God's way of doing things. Let's not go astray. Let's not also break down. We can cry, but let's not break down. Let's maintain the peace. What else can we take from him so that we can build a united and peaceful Namibia? And we maintain our independence. And, there was always at the independence, I remember he saying that you are now going into Namibia. Don't even trust your own shadow. Be vigilant. Be up there. See to it that you are an upright person, a right, upright citizen of this country, and maintain peace and security.
Thank you, Nene Tate Asino.
Yes.
Sincere condolences to you
Thank
and
you.
your family. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Thank you very much.